Welcome back to another episode. This is your host, Bill Rishell at the Sterilization Station. We are back here again for another great episode where we plan to motivate, encourage, and inspire all you in sterile processing. Whether you're a new grad, you recently graduated, the Empowerment Podcast of Sterile Processing, where sterile processing isn't just a job. We believe it's a calling, it's a great career, and a pathway to opportunity. I'm your host, and I'm looking forward to diving into something that every new grad and student needs to hear. These are the 7 mindsets that will launch your career and get you hired in sterile processing. But first off, if you are stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure what move to make next, I want you to know something very important. You do not have to do this alone. Please do not feel like you're alone out there. Head over to sterilizationstation.org, tap into the Get Coaching tab. That's where we personalize your blueprint to success and give you the support needed, coupled with strategy, accountability, and empowerment so you can land your first role. Here's the question. If the only thing standing between you and your first sterile processing job was a shift in the mindset, would you be ready to make that change today? Let's think about that. If the only thing standing between you and your first sterile processing job was a shift in your mindset, would you be ready to change today? You know what? Let me tell you a little story before we jump into this episode. A lot of people would ask me, what is your why, Bill? Why are you so passionate about the students? I'm going to tell you why. When I was precepted in 2004 in sterile processing, my preceptor, she spoke so negative to me. You'll never make it. You'll never do this. And that, I didn't know it, but when you make chicken, sometimes steak, you get out that meat tenderizer, right? And you start to beat that meat down, you start to tenderize it. That's what she did. She tenderized my heart for you, those students. And so that is why I got started, because I realized there were so many people like you. In 24, I was in a major car accident and it shifted my whole career trajectory. My whole path changed. I realized that I remember sitting there laying down and I was recovering, and I was on these Facebook sterile processing groups, and I saw so many students like you. Yes, you, the one who's watching or listening, that's struggling and saying, I can't find a job. And I realized the market is there, and I am so passionate, and that is why I'm doing this today, to help you break the glass and land that first sterile processing and put that job search in the past. So first, why does mindset matter? Often as new grads, we focus on what to do, right? The certifications, the interviews, the resumes. But the truth is, mindset determines how you think, right? How you act, and ultimately how you succeed. Even in 2026, when sterile processing, the demand is strong, right? The stats show that employers are no longer just hiring skills. They are hiring confidence, they're hiring grit, and they're hiring readiness. And so today's episode is about the 7 mindsets that will change your career path. So let's jump into it. Mindset number 1 is the growth mindset, right? This is the I can learn, I will learn. Every employer loves someone who vibes with growth. Are you someone who thinks about growth? Is growth something that you constantly think about? Remember, you're not expected to know everything, but you are expected to learn everything. According to career researchers, professionals who adopt a growth mindset are 47% more likely to succeed in early career advancement because they embrace challenges rather than fear. And always remember, transformation begins with the belief that what you know today is only the foundation for what you will learn tomorrow. So instead of, I don't know that yet, we want to say, I can learn it and I will. Number 2, the confidence mindset. The confidence mindset will always say, I belong in this room. New grads often bring great skills, but not always confidence. I always say, pat yourself on the back, right? Sometimes you have to tell yourself. I tell sometimes my friends from church or people in my life, around my life, sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, I will win. I can do this. I'm going to land this job. Remember, confidence speaks volumes in interviews. It speaks volumes in orientations. and it's definitely going to speak volumes in your externships. And survey data shows that 70% of hiring decisions are influenced by perceived confidence and attitude, not just technical skills. And remember, you were chosen to study this field. Now choose to believe in your readiness. Before every interview or opportunity, say, I belong here. You must believe that. Let it get down into your heart that you believe that you belong in the departments you're applying to. The third mindset is called the resilience mindset. I don't quit, I pivot, right? What do they call football? Blue 32, blue 52. It's time to call an audible, right? Sometimes in your career path, you have to pivot. When I first got into sterile processing, I was praying about going into barber college. I just made a great change in my life. Got clean and sober, which thank God I've been clean and sober now for 24 years. Thank the Lord. But listen, sometimes you have to call an audible. Objections are going to come, maybe a couple. Always remember a no can always be turned to a. Add the T, spells not now. No's can always be not nows, right? Why don't you put not now in the chat? Failing does not mean never being rejected. It means never staying down, right? Was that Muhammad Ali was fighting against Joe Frazier, and what did he say? He said, "I'm never down. I'm either up or getting up." So failing does not mean never being rejected. It means never staying down. Research on job seekers shows that top performers apply 3 times more aggressively and handle rejection strategically rather than emotionally. Rejection is not denial, it is direction. If one application fails, you say, okay, what can I improve on next? The fourth mindset is the preparation mindset. Be ready before required. Preparation isn't just about learning your skills. It's about thinking ahead. It's about anticipating questions. It's about knowing the instrument. It's about understanding the workflows. Candidates who prepare beyond minimum expectations are 52% more likely to receive an interview invitation. The more you sweat in preparation, the less you bleed in performance. Make it your goal to know more than what is expected. Studying before, maybe you're researching that hospital. I like to research like the vision of the hospital, or what is the focus of that department? How many surgery suites do they have? What kind of procedures do they have? It shows you're ready because you know you've done your research on that specific facility. The fifth mindset is what we call the networking mindset. I always like to say your net worth is your network, right? Working is so important in sterile processing. Who will I connect with today, right? Always looking, always learning. I always tell my students I'm mentoring, I'm precepting. I say, what is it that you do for a living? And they might say, oh, I work at Applebee's. I'm a server. They might say, I work at Amazon Flex. I deliver packages. I said, nope, wrong answer. I said, what do you do for a living? They said, I don't get it, Bill. It's a trick question. I said, not a trick question. You are a sterile processing technician. If you want to make connections in the community, at weddings, wherever you are at social events, if you're in the check stand buying ingredients for a gathering of your family, and the person in front of you could be a director of a sterile processing program, and they say, how are you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? What do you do for a living? You say, I work at Applebee's. They go, oh, that's cool. That's great. I work in the hospital. But if you say, I work in I'm a sterile processor. They go, oh, really? You say, yeah, I just finished. I'm getting my training. They say, hey, here's my number. Call me when you need a job. Why? Because your net worth is your net worth. Your career will be launched because of relationships, right? Not just luck. LinkedIn data reports that 85% of all jobs are filled through networking. So your net worth is your network. Message one professional today, right? Even a simple, hi, I'm new, may I connect? Watch what happens. Let's see what happens. Number 6, the value mindset. I bring something unique to the table, right? Every candidate brings value, even if they're new. You bring attention to detail, willingness to follow protocols, eagerness to learn safety standards, willingness to take on a project, willingness to mentor someone. That's priceless. Hiring managers rank work ethic, attitude, and reliability even higher than experience in entry-level roles. Work ethic, attitude, and reliability. Are you punctual? Will you be on time? Can I trust you reliable? Can I depend upon you to do the sets, turn over the trays, sterilize the instruments, lead another team member? It's higher than experience. That's really deep, y'all. In entry-level roles. Remember, know your worth and then show it. Just because you haven't landed a job doesn't mean you don't have work. I encourage my new students, and a lot of them don't do it because they don't see the value in it. Beyond Clean is full of content, full of great content. On your way to work, at the gym, plug into their podcast. Fill your brain with as much knowledge as you can, because all you're lacking is the opportunity to show it. Les Brown once said it's better to be prepared for an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So make sure you write down 3 unique strengths that only you bring to the table. What are your 3 top strengths? And number 7 is the action mindset. Do one thing today mindset. Mindset without action, it just stays theory, right? You just learn something, but you're not applying it to your life. Break it down. 1 step today, 1 step next, 1 step today. Productivity studies show that goals with a clear next action are 90% more likely to be completed. That's why at meetings, they always say, what's your action item? Oh, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that. You should always have something on your mind that you're working on. Maybe I'm working on learning an ortho set. Maybe I'm working on understanding the science behind the sterilization process, but always be working on something. Listen, sterile processing has bought me 2 homes. Sterile processing is going to pay for my daughter's college. Sterile processing has let us live a wonderful life. Thank you, God. But listen, it's a great career path. Do not let anyone tell you it's just an entry-level job. There are so many people, managers, supervisors, directors, liaisons, endoscoper processors, educators, consultants. What we do is so important, and people have turned this into a career. Remember, small steps taken daily will lead to big breakthroughs. What is one thing you will do today to move closer to your first job? Write it down and do it. That is the action mindset. So you have just learned 7 mindsets every new grad must embrace to get hired in sterile processing. But remember, here's the truth. Your success will not come from luck. It comes from thinking like someone who gets hired before you are hired. If you need personalized coaching, someone to help you build confidence, create your action plan and walk you step by step in landing that first job, once again, visit sterilizationstation.org. Tap the Get Coaching tab now. You are meant to do this, and you are ready. Thanks again to listening to Sterilization Station, the empowerment podcast of sterile processing. Hit subscribe, share this with another new grad, and remember, your career begins with a mindset, and you've got this.